Hey everybody, welcome to the newest episode of The Bearded Gamer Show. As always, I am your host, Chris Arnone, the Bearded Gamer. Yeah, see? Beard, gamer. Yeah, you got it. Good news, bad news. So we'll start off with some good news. You know, it seems like I haven't had enough of this recently. Some good news. All right, now, the Final Fantasy XIII Part 2 demo is going to hit very soon, next week in fact. It hit North American PS3s on January 10th, European PS3s, as well as all the 360s on January 11th. A lot of people were really worried about this next game because 13 itself didn't get the best reviews. There was just a lot of things that people weren't happy about. Now, so far, the early reviews coming out of Japan have been very good, saying it's sort of fixed the vast majority of the problems that people had with 13, now with 13 Part 2. So I think it's a really good move on Square Enix's part to throw out a demo to give us all a taste of what they've changed and how they've supposedly improved the game. But look for that one next week. On to some just straight up news, and of course coming back to SOPA, yet again, Stop Online Piracy Act. The ESA is comprised of many companies. Now, I've talked before that the ESA, the Entertainment Software Association, is in support of SOPA. Now, sadly, a list has now come out. Only 4 of the dozens of companies that are a part of the ESA have officially come out and said that they are against SOPA. Those are 38 Studios, Epic Games, Nival, and Tryon Worlds. The rest of them have been pretty much quiet, haven't said much of anything. Now, some of these companies have removed themselves from the list of supporting companies, but they're still a part of the ESA. So, we'll have to wait and see what some of the others might say now that we're all sort of keeping tabs on it. Some bad news. Now, there's been a lot of backlash against the new DMC Devil May Cry. This one's being made by Ninja Theory, and a lot of people have been really, really unhappy with the new look of the new Dante, as you can see there. It definitely doesn't look anything like the old Dante with the silver hair and the red trench coat, and people are upset about that. Okay, fine, you can be upset. But apparently, Ninja Theory has actually received death threats over this upcoming game. Death threats. Now, mind you, we're in a world filled with things like cancer, war, poverty, horrible people that kill one another, and you're sending death threats over a video game. Are you out of your minds? It's a video game. If you don't like it, don't play it. Oh my God, it's not that hard. There are hundreds of others. Lots of great games. Holy crap, what is wrong with you? Way to make us gamers look like the intelligent, civilized people that I'd like to think we are. Stop it! Don't do that! If you don't like the game, don't buy it. Plain and simple. Go play the other 4 Devil May Cries and leave them alone. Jesus. All right. Some more bad news, unfortunately, to finish up the news. Now, reports have surfaced about some illegally accessed Xbox Live accounts. Now, a woman reported that apparently her account information had been sold through some Chinese website, and she noticed that some charges had been made that she didn't do that were charged to her PayPal account. She contacted Microsoft. Microsoft said, okay, they would block her account and take care of it. 72 hours later, she noticed more charges. Her account wasn't blocked at all, and was obviously very, very upset with Microsoft over this. They just really didn't do what they need to do to protect her and protect her information and her money. And now more and more of these reports have been surfacing that this has apparently been happening to a fair number of people, at least, that their account information is being stolen and there are charges being made, and Microsoft isn't quite stepping up the way that they should. Now, Microsoft has come out and said that it's a phishing scam, and they are now working to fix this problem, but I highly recommend if you have an Xbox Live Gold account, you have a credit card or a PayPal hooked up to it, make sure you're monitoring for charges. Make sure you're keeping track, and it's making sure that if any charges pop up, that they're charges that you have made. And if you have an issue, very, very quickly contact Microsoft, get a hold of them, and hopefully they'll do a better job of taking care of people and taking care of the situation. And I'll keep you guys informed as things unravel with this, and hopefully we'll find out who's doing this and that they stop it. All right, guys. Now for the news, time for the reviews roundup. It's been a while, but welcome to the newest Reviews Roundup, powered by Gamer Review. First up this week is Afterfall Insanity for PC. Reviews editor Craig Snow took on this game and said, Afterfall Insanity is the story of an intriguing premise let down by just too many technical failings and poor gameplay decisions. There's a good game in here with a decent running time, but it wasn't given the care and resources it needed to be realized. What you're left with is a fairly mediocre game that fails to live up to any of the titles that so heavily inspired its genesis. Craig gave Afterfall Insanity a 5.0 out of 10. Next up is Cooking Mama 4 Kitchen Magic for Nintendo 3DS. Xavier Griffiths put on his apron, grabbed a spatula, and said, "This series has seen numerous iterations and spin-offs, but this signature cooking series has now become stagnant. Cooking Mama 4 Kitchen Magic could just have easily been a DS release. It feels more like a remix than a unique iteration. As such, I can only recommend this game to series newcomers because veterans will find it as unbearably stale as last Thanksgiving's leftovers." Xavier gave Cooking Mama 4 Kitchen Magic a 5.3 out of 10. Last this week is Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. The more astute of you may recall that I personally gave the non-Ultimate version of this game an 8.4 back in February. Brent Gallietti now takes on the Ultimate version and said, "It's one thing to release a good fighting game, as Capcom did with Marvel vs. Capcom 3 earlier this year. It's another thing to release an update that adds so much content to the original package, then release a new mode that is so detailed it feels like another game. That's what Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, along with Heroes and Heralds, is. Some may feel upset that the game is being re-released so soon, but at a cut retail price of just $40, to get an expanded roster, stage list, gameplay update, and Heroes and Heralds, this is absolutely worth the extra cost. And of course, if you've never experienced this game before, that price point makes Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 an absolute steal. This is a game that everyone, from fighting purists to casual gamers, can enjoy greatly." Brent gave Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 an 8.8 out of 10. Be sure to read the full reviews for these and many other games on gamerreview.vgcharts.com.
Now, I know I've talked a lot about SOPA this week. It's sort of been the week of SOPA, and it hasn't been just me. It's been sort of all over the gaming industry and more. But I feel it's really, really important to talk about it, and that's why I can't just let it go. But I will try to make this, unless some new information comes up, some real big news comes up, the last I really get up on a soapbox about SOPA. But this is going to be my definitive soapbox for it, my biggest controller confessional about it. Now, I was talking about the ESA's list of companies, and it really surprises me how many of these companies have not brought out an official stance about SOPA. Now, it's a big deal, and to me, a position of apathy, of not giving a comment when you belong to an association that is in support of SOPA, that is tantamount to being in support of SOPA. It's just too big of a deal to not take a stand either way on. Now, Capcom has released the following statement. And it says, "At Capcom, we're game makers, not legislators. We do not have an internal stance on this particular issue and are not planning to. We'll get back to making games. Thanks." Now, I understand their kind of point, but you're wrong. You need to take a stance. I know you're a games company. This means you create intellectual properties. The very kind of intellectual properties that SOPA is, in a very broad and very vague sense, trying to protect. Therefore, you should have a stance in this. You should have a say, as should all the other game companies out there. This is important. This is a big deal. And, ultimately to defeat this bill, more and more companies need to stand up and talk about it. Companies who create copywritten material, the people it's trying to protect supposedly, but it's going the totally wrong way about doing so with. Now, I commend the four companies, Epic, 38 Studios, Tryon Worlds, and Nival, for standing against it, but we need bigger players. We need people like the console makers, Microsoft, Sony, and Nintendo. We need big publishers like Activision, EA, Square Enix, some of the big heavy hitters in this industry to take a stance and talk about what's wrong with SOPA and how it can go wrong. The vast majority of
the games journalism world, we're standing against it. Destructoid is moving away from GoDaddy, and they stand against it. Joystick has come out and said that they and their parent company, AOL, are standing against it. The Bearded Gamer Show is actually a joint venture between myself, Chris Arnone, and MediaFlex, and both us parties, and therefore Bearded Gamer Show as a whole, officially is against SOPA. And I am going to challenge the game industry right here, right now. Sort of take a page from my buddy Hip Hop Gamer, his shots fired kind of thing. Similar, I'm calling you out, game industry. You need to take a stand one way or the other. And we are all hoping and praying that you stand with us, because we, the games journalists, we have your backs. We want this industry to thrive and to flourish and to do the best it possibly can. And we don't think SOPA will help that. We think it will hinder it. So you guys can't just sit on your thumbs and wait and see who wins. You've got to take a stand. You've got to help fight this, or at least change it from its current incarnation into something that truly will benefit intellectual properties. Apathy just won't do. All right, guys, I know that was real hard and heavy, so I'll just leave you with this one final thought as you head into your weekend. Skyrim. That's it. All right, guys, have a good weekend. See you next week.